Some of our stakeholders came to us and said, is there something that we can do to improve safety of both drivers and pedestrians on Whyte at that time?
Current theory is that Whyte Avenue could theoretically be closed between 103 and 106th Street between midnight and 3:30 a.m. on certain Friday and Saturday nights. Well, I think we'll have time for maybe 3 questions, and then you can find anyone who has an Ask Me button afterwards. I think you had your hand up first. Yes.
Me? Yes. I know you've done an online survey. There's a lot of people in our neighborhood who do not use online for anything. They don't have computers. There's a lot of seniors residents really nearby who wouldn't have contributed to that survey, and really this is the first that they've ever heard of this program. So therefore, and I'm not saying all seniors are in this situation, but several of us are. And so therefore, let us contribute to your survey in other ways. Show us where we can come, because we're the ones experiencing all the noise right across the street from Strathcona, and it's not even included in any of your suggested closures. And we would like barricades as well. We don't want them in our neighborhoods, not even for a project pilot. We already know what it's like.
Well, thank you for that. And just let me, I'll address it. What I'll say is that all 3 levels of public consultation are important to us. So nothing has been decided, and what is said today is just as important as what the information that was given to us in phase 1 and phase 2. So all of the information will be taken into account as we decide our next steps. So we're really happy that a new audience is here today, and that's why we designed the open house to reach those people who we haven't engaged with yet. So that's specifically why we did the open house format. So thank you, and make sure that your comments are included in the stickies. Okay, I think the lady in the glasses had her hand up next.
I actually just have some feedback on that survey. That seems to be something that you're relying very heavily on. I actually did it, and I will say that your methodology was flawed, because there was one question where you had to providers indicate which times you're most likely to be on Whyte. The only way that you could proceed to the next question, when I did it anyways, was to say that you were on Whyte Avenue between midnight and 3 a.m. If you were any other time period, you couldn't go further in the survey. So, and I tried for 20 minutes sliding those little things around to get to, like me, I live here, I'm here like normal hours, like evenings, Saturdays, during the day, and morning. The only way that I could get to your next question was to lie and say that I spend most of my time on Whyte midnight and 3 a.m. Otherwise, it wouldn't let me say proceed to the next question, and it would flip you back and say please answer the question. You'd say proceed to the next question, say flip you back and say so you filtered out. Like you're relying heavily on the survey, which you either had to lie like myself to go on, or you really had a vested interest in making sure that you could be on Whyte Ave. Because if you told the truth, you only were on Whyte Ave between 3 and midnight, or midnight and 3. If you were a resident and you shopped on Whyte and you lived on Whyte and were a regular person, you didn't frequent the 10,000 bar seats on a regular basis, you couldn't go far, you couldn't finish the survey.
Yeah.
The other thing is this particular question.
Sorry, can I address that before we move on to the next part?
You had no default there to say, I'm not in favor of this. You had to choose. If when we close, or if we close, which one do you want? Well, I don't want it to close. So you're forcing me to commit to a position that I'm fundamentally opposed to.
Okay, well, to answer that question, what I'll tell you for that one, you'll see that we did capture those who said no.
I know,
so
but you're still saying, when we close, which street should we? Which street should we?
You're forcing us to agree
to say to
at least closing one section, a section.
Right,
Whyte
kind
of telling
Avenue.
people it's already a done deal.
Saying don't close Whyte Avenue at all.
We had a fairly sophisticated way of measuring, of analyzing what was submitted. So for those residents who weren't in favor, they were taken out. So that wasn't included as part of that analysis. Does that make sense?
You have to reflect how many people said, no, don't close Whyte Avenue at all. Because you
So if I can just interject, if there were technical glitches in the survey, our apologies. When we tested it, and we had other people go through it, we didn't encounter that glitch.
It wasn't a glitch. She's right. There's no option for residents. So if you live on Whyte Avenue, you live there 24 hours a day, there was no option. You had to say you lived there between midnight and 3 or between 10 and 11. My question is, can I just finish? Why do you not do a mail out to all the residents?
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
correct. They're right. Most people, who has time to do an online survey? Not everybody has computers. Why? You know all the residents, you know who we are. Take a 6-block radius, go 2 blocks this way, 2 blocks that way, and send everybody a letter. Then you'll get an honest opinion. The way that you're doing it now, it's not a glitch. It was that the whole survey was set up that you couldn't fill it out if you were a resident. You don't know because you didn't fill it out as a resident.
Deliberately skewed the results.
So again,
Support closing some portions of Whyte Avenue.
So again, if the survey didn't reflect what we were looking for, our apologies.
I think you have to
And
toss it
we're-
out and try again. Stop using
Hey,
this.
Yeah.
That's valid
So-
public input. You
Yes.
press
So-
the reset button, because this is the first I've heard of it too.
Me too.
We need a
So
mail
if-
out.
If what we hear from you guys, what we're hearing from you today is that we need to do another round of consultation specifically with residents, we can do that.
I think that
This
you
is,
need to
no,
toss out
sorry,
that
this
survey and
is
try again.
not a done deal. We have not made any decisions.
Just made valid input to do the mail outs or some other sort of non-online survey. It doesn't mean tossing out the other results.
Like I said, to get past that screen, you had to lie.
Yeah, you had to lie.
And that was not the intention. So again, my apologies. My apologies if the survey
So, but that's just
had a glitch.
Complaining is not
This
doing.
is so much support. It's
No.
more forced support.
It doesn't
So-
have legitimate support.
So that's why we're here today, is to get your input.
So can we get your commitment to throw out that survey
And stop using it in
and
your-
stop using it in your presentations? Because you're saying, based on this survey, we have a huge amount of support for this pilot. But you can't, because that survey that you are basing your numbers on, showing how much support you have, is flawed.
Thank you.
So can we get that
So
commitment from you guys that you're gonna throw
so
that
the online survey was one tool. We also went in person to community league residents.
But we didn't know about
Community
those.
Excuse me, you're evading the issue. These ladies brought up a point.
Yeah.
They
And I
want,
already-
ma'am,
No,
we've
I
listened to
already
you.
said
We've
we'll
listened
go
to
back
you. We've
and
listened
we'll
to
do
them.
another round of
Okay.
consultation.
These ladies
We
are
will go
concerned
back.
about getting authentic support from the community.
Yes.
They brought up a valid point about how things were skewed and how things were manipulated to suit something that's already been seen to be preconceived and pre-decided.
Yes.
Now, this lady pointed out right over here about seniors and how they don't have access to computers. With me, I'm someone who is in tune. I do watch the news, I do read the newspaper, and this is the first I've heard of this. So it seems to me the common modus operandi with how this municipality interacts with its citizens is that it doesn't authentically make people aware and take their valid input, what is a genuine reflection of how people feel.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Yes.
Well, are you actually going to respond to, are you going to give me a
I'm-
response, or are you going
yes.
to give me an evasive response?
First of all, I apologize that the survey was misleading.
It was flawed. Let's say
It was flawed.
Okay.
Let's be honest, it was a flawed survey.
And I'll commit to, we'll go back and we'll have a look at that. I will also commit that we will do a mail out
Okay.
to residents.
Right, where we can actually express our opinion and we don't want it skewed where you have to say.
And I would encourage you to all put your notes on stickies today on any of these boards, because we want to capture what's working, we want to capture what's not working.
Okay.
So thank you for coming today. Thank you for sharing that. We weren't aware of that.
Why does it have to be all
Say
or nothing?
final.
Like, why can't you
Contact your councilman and the
They're addressing
mayor.
that. Let's move on.
okay,
So we have time for one more question on a And
I work in the area, you want me to talk? I worked last night, I know what it's like.
okay,
Hey, this is the whole story right now. There's residents, and then there's bar patrons. There's residents, usually older people that don't go to the bar anymore, they have families, they have children, or they're seniors. Just wait. You've had your talk.
Yeah.
This is about, this ain't a clash of the titans between old and young, or retirees, or family people, and bar patrons that are students or visitors or whatever. This is about solving an issue that has existed for many years on Whyte Ave, right? I work in the area. I worked in the area last night. Halloween was really, really busy. On one corner, there were 400 people. Within about half a block one way and half a block another way. One corner, you could not get by. I had to walk on the street to get around all these people. I had to walk on the street for half a block to get around these people. This is an issue that is not going to disappear until we solve it. Bars and restaurants are an issue that will never, never, never go away, because Old Strathcode has changed. It's vibrant. It's got the fringe, etc., etc. We have to live with it. We can't be against the restaurants. We can't be against the bars. If you shut them all down, you said goodbye to 60% of the successful businesses on Whyte Avenue. 60% of the young people go to these places, which is in daytime and nighttime. It's daytime and nighttime they use them. There's 40,000 students at the university, and a percentage of those go to it. There
The
are people.
bars are pretty dead during the day. At night they're
Well, of
vibrant.
course they are.
But my
They're shut down.
point is that
You had your chance
this
to
problem has revolved around the fact that the infrastructure, the way that the community is set up, can't handle 10,000 bar seats, right? So has the city looked at the fact that maybe they should reduce the number of bar seats in this area and try and revitalize some of the shops and the grocery stores and the other types of businesses that used to be here about 5 or 6 years ago that have since moved away? What? But they're changing because the city is allowing more and more bars to set up. But this infrastructure, this community can't handle 10,000 bar seats. So reduce the number of bar seats, and try and bring the rents back such that it can support some commercial businesses and stuff.
there is an overlay on over Whyte Avenue, and there can't be any more new bar seats.
There's
But
an
they
overlay.
can't handle
She's
what we
right.
have
There's an
now.
overlay.
That's why we're having this discussion, because it can't handle the 10,000 that we already licensed. So if you reduce 25% of the bar seats in the area,
Lady.
then perhaps we won't have that many people and we won't have this scale of problem.
You work, I live.
I live
So
here.
our-
And I
So,
go to the bars.
excuse
I
me.
was at Sherlock Holmes last night.
Our intention.
You know, I go to the bars, and last weekend I was at Accent Lounge.
Excuse me, ma'am.
So
Thank you.
it's not that I don't
Our
use the
intention
bars.
today is to get your feedback. The way that we
Feedback,
can
1 o'clock.
best get your feedback and get your input is for you to fill it out on the yellow stickies. We really do want to hear from you. I've committed that we'll do another round of resident consultation. We want to hear from you. This is not a done deal. We know that the devil's in the details of this, if it's to go ahead, and we need to hear from you. So thank you for coming, and I'm going to close off the questions now. Feel free to grab any of us who've got these orange Ask Me a Question tags. We're happy to answer your questions, and please grab pens and stickies. Thank you. So I know some of you have talked to us and you're frustrated that there's not more of a plan. Our intention is to do broad consultation, to do really open consultation, and to ask a wide variety of people. Some of the consultation that we've done so far is we did a City of Edmonton survey, an online survey. We had about 2,000 responses, and we've heard today that some of those responses, that for some people, the survey didn't work. We've heard that the survey looks like it was designed for a particular outcome. We tested the survey. That wasn't we found when we went live, but if that's what happened, I'm sorry. And we committed this morning to do another round of consultation with residents, to do a direct mail out. And I have to tell you, we don't have a plan yet of exactly where we're going to mail out, when we're going to mail out. I mean, we made that commitment this morning based on feedback that we heard from people who attended this morning's session.
Okay, we can take 3 questions. Okay, yes.
Nikki, you just read off a bunch of stuff, including drunken driving, bad behaviour, a whole litany of items that supposedly closing Whyte Avenue is going to cure. What difference does it make whether Whyte Avenue is open or closed, whether people are drunk driving? I think it's fatuous to suggest that by closing the avenue, somehow you're going to mitigate drunk driving.
Well, something that we've heard through the public consultation process is that people would be interested in seeing check stops set up around the closure. So that's something that we could potentially...
Well, as a resident, I would be really interested in seeing a check stop without any closure, because frankly, you've got enough people you can pick on, check stop them, ticket them from jaywalking. You don't need this to clamp down on what's generally bad behaviour in our neighbourhood.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And so if you can put, as Angela said, we appreciate all comments, but we do need them. I see you have stickies in your hand, so that's...
Oh yeah, sticky's all right. But the reality is that we go through all this so-called communication and open city, and then at the end, we get something rammed down our throats whether we want it or not. And a prime example is that bike path from 76 down to Whyte Avenue. You took away a whole string of parking, and we've got nothing in return.
Well, what I can say is that, I mean, I don't work on bike lanes, so I won't be able to comment on that. But in terms of the late night economy, it's complex. There are lots of stakeholders from a wide variety of backgrounds, and there are complex issues that we're trying to solve. We recognize that this isn't the magic bullet, that this isn't going to solve all of the issues that we're currently facing. It's a potential tool in our toolkit.
Could you just explain what other neighborhoods, entertainment zones in the city you're considering the same solution with? Or is it just Whyte Avenue?
Well, for the pilot, it would be Whyte Avenue, but another potential location would be Jasper.
When we had spoken, I understood that you said that where the traffic would be rerouted to was sort of still being determined, but I'm noticing that the board over here says Saskatchewan Drive and 76th Avenue. Could you clarify where you are with that part of the decision?
Well, we haven't decided. So this is that was simply for discussion today.
Can you repeat the question?
That should have said would be
The question was,
as
have
part
you
of the
determined where the traffic will go? This board says Saskatchewan and 76, but in our conversation, you were saying you weren't sure where you would reroute it.
Right, and we also added the caveat, the road closures and detours are subject to change based on feedback received. So we haven't, it's the theory, it's not the decision, if that makes sense. So please tell us, is this a good idea, is this a bad one? Okay, we have time for one more question, in the hat.
Hi, so if the core issue is public safety because of the congestion on the sidewalks, isn't the core problem the number of pedestrians at that time of day? So doesn't it make sense to actually throttle back on the number of licenses or the seats? Because basically you're treating the symptom, and the symptom is congestion. Folks are crowded on the sidewalk, so really the only way to deal with that is to actually reduce the traffic on the sidewalk, not start closing down expensive infrastructure or pushing traffic off on the side streets.
Right. Well, I understand your point. But the late night economy is vital to Edmonton's livability as a city and to our economic engine. We did an economic study in 2010. It was 680.
So just a supplemental to that, I've been to Washington, D.C. They have a nice M Street area, and it is exactly that. It's an entertainment area with little bars and restaurants, and it's very civilized. Like, you can go there any time of the day or night, and you don't run into masses of 18 to 25-year-olds that are projectile vomiting all over the place, or trying to knife each other, or screaming. It's kind of the demographic that you're bringing into the area. If you had a quality restaurant, like a jazz bar, good quality restaurants, That would be favorable to most folks in the community.
Or if the police that are
Favorable
on,
to you, but what about the 18 to 24-year-olds?
Exactly, and in
On the
M
line.
Street.
But they don't need to come into our neighborhood and
Listen,
puke and scream all
Sherwood
night.
Park. don't
Listen,
come here.
M Street, there's a ton of 18 to 25-year-olds. They love it there. There's something for everybody. Same with Boston.
So-
Been to Boston many years.
So I appreciate your comments.
Boston Commons, same idea. It's a more civilized environment available to everybody, 18 to 25-year-olds.
So I appreciate your comments, and that was our 3 questions. Mickey?
No, hey, no, I had my hand up.
Yes,
Since
Yeah,
you'll get it, and you're
yeah,
purposely
we
not
were
taking
really clear, we're gonna
I'm
take 3
sorry,
questions,
you've
we
been
took
taking
3
everybody-
questions.
3 token questions. from the
Mickey
public.
and I
That's
are
public
available to
input.
talk to any of you individually.
I have a question, a
We're gonna pull
legitimate
Barb
question out
in.
in public,
This is an
and I
open
would like
house
to
with a
have that.
15-minute presentation. We're happy to talk to any of you. So please,
Well, why can't you
come and
talk
talk.
to us right now in
Please
front of
come and talk to
everybody?
Mickey or myself, and we're gonna pull Barb in too.
Yeah, it's pretty
Thank you.
pathetic. It's not really authentic public consultation. Thank you for shutting it down prematurely.